The debate around the fan base is Austin versus Trinidad. Who should start against LSU? We bring in the quarterback to tell it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We bring in the legend, John Fourcade, to talk Tulane, LSU, and Chambliss versus Simmons against LSU. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. Please check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every college and pro team is available. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that first bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Now, John, one thing's pretty interesting to me. Trinidad Chambliss had a big game against Arkansas. Ole Miss scored a touchdown on like 6 of 9 possessions in that game. Against Tulane, he was absolutely dominant, becoming one of 4 quarterbacks in Ole Miss history to throw for 300 and run for 100. And Austin Simmons, he might make his way back. He didn't play against Tulane, but the conversation around the fan base right now is Trinidad or Austin. And honestly, with LSU's defensive line, if there's even a chance that Austin Simmons is 90% in the game, you go with Trinidad Chambliss, right?
Oh, I totally agree. And it's a good problem to have. You got 2 quarterbacks. Normally what happens, I know this is big time in the NFL, your starting quarterback goes down with an injury. When he comes back, he plays, depending on how much time he's missed. If it's a couple of weeks, a month, or something like that, could be different. But in this scenario, is Simmons at 100%? You won't know until he plays the game. So my take is this. You go into this game, you got to go with Trinidad. The reason I say that is he's come off of 2 good football games that he's played, Arkansas game and the Tulane game. It wasn't like playing against, Southeast Louisiana or Nickel State or somebody of that nature. And he's put these numbers up. But the kid has produced. He's played well. And so you don't want to rock the boat right now. And this is nothing against Simmons. Injuries happen. If you would have been able to get back into the Arkansas game after he twisted his ankle, that's one thing, but he kind of re-aggravated it. So let's see what happens with Trinidad. You can always go to Simmons if Trinidad doesn't perform well for you early in the LSU game.
They had John Sumrall in the post game after the Tulane game, and he was asked about Trinidad Chambliss, and John Sumrall described him as annoying, and he didn't mean that in a negative way. It was just something where you could completely scheme up the defense, and he would still find a way to break out and get a first down as either decision-making or athletic ability. And I think against LSU, that could be an X factor with how aggressive they play on the defensive line. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct. In the situation with John Sumrall, was probably trying to let people know the fact that when you play against a mobile quarterback who can also throw, it puts you in a bad situation on the defensive side of the football. You play against some teams where, okay, if a guy is just a pure thrower, he's going to hurt you with the arm, and he doesn't really hurt you with his feet. You can adjust to that. But when you got a guy who can do both of those things as a running quarterback, or escaping out of the pocket style quarterback, I don't think Lane wants to have him, running a lot as design running plays, because that's how you get quarterbacks hurt. And that doesn't mean they can't get hurt on a scramble play, but that's what Summerall's trying to say is, man, we got a kid here who rushed for over 100, 19 yards rushing and threw for 307 yards passing. That lit us up and hurt us. And the running game for Ole Miss has been getting better with him at the position of being a quarterback who's also capable of running. He only completed 17 passes. Didn't have to against Tulane, but he ran the ball. That helped in the running department, and that's going to help against LSU. LSU's got a defense now. I don't think that Ole Miss is going to play against one of the best defenses in all of the country, and I think in hindsight, you got to go with Trinidad because of the fact that he's more mobile than Simmons.
And there's some other things that popped in that game too. Deuce Alexander is turning out to be a good little wide receiver for Ole Miss. I mean, he had a couple of large catches on the sideline. Trinidad Chambliss is really good at that hole shot pass on the sideline where the defense is playing cover 2 and it's just that area slightly down the field. He's hit Deuce Alexander against Arkansas and Tulane. Now, I am worried about it. It was some very good passes on that, but you're going to be stepping up in athleticism this week. So do you think that he can continue that with the athleticism that LSU has in the secondary?
Well, he has to keep doing what he's doing. He can't worry about who's in the secondary, what DB's what, because you don't care what DB's out there. People say, oh, man, when I played, you can't throw against Deion Sanders. I said, why not? If he picks it off, then I can learn my lesson that way. But he didn't do it against me. And in this situation, it's the same thing when you come into a football game against a much qualified team as LSU is compared to Tulane. But you're right. He does throw the ball well enough into that pocket between the corner being up and the safety being over the top. He knows his time. And I mean by that, he knows how much time he's got. He's got to get it out there. He doesn't lay it up where the guy runs under. He throws it into there. What I mean, he could throw the shot in there between the two defensive backs. So, yes, I don't see any problem with him throwing the ball, but he's going to go again. And the secondary is not what concerns me about LSU. Those guys up front. They will come. Perkins and Weeks should be back. Those guys bring the heat up front. If he's getting pressure up front, he might not have the time to throw the ball into those holes. But Lane Kiffin is going to, strategize this and figure things out. His game plan might be a little different because they're playing, the SEC caliber of football than it was playing against Tulane.
Yeah, this is probably the good news is if Trinidad Chambliss has a good game against LSU, you're likely not going to see a defense better than LSU out there this year.
You're right about that. I mean, there'll be SEC is always going to have some good athletes. Mm-hmm. Ole Miss has good athletes on defense. They don't have the core of athletes that LSU has. What I mean by that is LSU's got 11 starters on defense. Probably 9 of them are pretty doggone good, where Ole Miss has 11 starters, and you're probably looking at 5 or 6 that are, playing extremely well. So other teams will have that. But SEC is going to have players. There's no doubt about it. LSU's weak link is not the defense. They can't run the football. And that's going to help Ole Miss with their defense because they've played well lately against the run. Tulane got nothing in the running department, and Tulane got nothing in the passing department. So I'm going to say this. I think it's going to be LSU's defense against Ole Miss's defense. Who plays the best? You're not going to – I don't think you'll see a 40-something point game. I think these guys are too good for each other, and it means a lot. You'll see these two teams come in here and knowing that we got to play to the wall and know that there might not be tomorrow, because if you lose this game, you're looking up at everybody now to get to that West versus East, the top 2 teams, should I say, in the SEC championship game, which is something that Ole Miss hasn't done. But I think Lane's realizing this. We just got to win out week by week, and I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to take week to week. So he's going to put a game plan against that LSU defense. Same thing with Gold on the defensive side of the ball. He's got to have a good game plan because they're bringing a pretty good quarterback into Oxford. Nussmeier can hurt you. He hasn't played well this year, and that Heisman Trophy stuff is out the window, and that's all that talk before the year began. All them top 3 quarterbacks, Heisman Trophy guys, they ain't winning it. So it just go out and play, and if Lane wins the ball game 21-17, I think he's happy.
Yeah, and when we come back, we will talk to John about one of the changes that Lane Kiffin seems to have made a quarter of the way through this season that is helping out this Ole Miss football team. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I want to tell you about the game. Quick question for all of you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit in the front row of your school's favorite rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yeah, I said hat. For me, it would be the game. Just like the hats that were around in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same prices they go for back then. When you use the code Locked On, that's one word, Locked On, you will get a vintage hat for just $16.99. Head to thegamecaps.com. That is thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use the code Locked On for an exclusive discount, because legends wear the game. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment to this video. Subscribe to the podcast, and on whatever audio podcast you're on, and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but it helps keep all of this free. If you want more, you can join the Insiders program. Join in the subtext link down below. No trolls, 14-day free trial, and the easiest way to cancel ever. You can look at it like a tip if you enjoy what we're doing here as well. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. So, John, one thing that I've noticed, Ole Miss has kicked 11 field goals this year. They've went for it a grand total of 2 times through 4 games, and Ole Miss has gotten them both. This isn't the analytics, Lane Kiffin. This is trusting the talent you have. You know you are good. You know that if you just let things play out, you are usually going to come out on top. Lane Kiffin has used the template that he used against the Georgia Bulldogs last year all during this season. And honestly, it's won Ole Miss probably a couple of games that they shouldn't have had.
Well, they not just Lane Kiffin, but other schools, other coaches over, I would say, the last 3 to 4 years, not counting this year, have they tried to change college football. They want to do it my way. It worked pretty fine for 100 years before that, or whatever, many years in the past. When people went for it, majority of the time, or they do certain things, it's on the other side of the field, maybe at the 30, or at the 28, something of that nature. But these going for it just because you feel like you got an itch in your pocket or something that you got to, I'm going to scratch this because that's what's going to make it. We're going to definitely get this because, like I had said to you before, the guys in the press box who work for Best Buys, who are the geek squads on their computers, don't know nothing about the game of football because you can call a play. A play might come into the quarterback, and all of a sudden he's out there, and it's not the play designed for that defense because what happens? The defense changed between the time the play was called and the time you snapped the ball. So you got to make adjustments. Well, you just can't have somebody get in your ear and say, oh, yeah, the analytics said we need to go for it. Well, the guy's never played football before or something of that nature. So Lane Kiffin has said, wait a second, let's get back to naturalizing football. Let's go out and play football, take the points when needed, hope the defense can do things. Maybe we'll get a turnover. We pin them back in their own territory. And that's proven to be the point this year with Lane Kiffin. And I think he's become a better coach. I think there's a time and a place to go for things, but he's got a really good kicker. Defense has played well. Not great, but it's played well for them. And their offense is moving the football. So you don't have to go out and score 45, 50 points every game. That's great against the Tulanes and the Georgia States and stuff. You're not going to usually do that in the SEC. You might luck out one game and blow out somebody in the SEC, but I don't think they're going to beat, LSU 56-20. It's going to be a real battle. And I think Lane realizes you're only going to get so many possessions, and you better be smart with them. Points are important.
Yeah, and field position and all the stuff that Nick Saban basically did for 20 years when he was at Alabama. You're starting to see that make an appearance. Are you surprised that Ole Miss opened as a 1.5-point favorite in this game on FanDuel?
Well, the way it works is, as well as I do, if you just put 2 teams out there and once they play at home, you automatically get 3 points. It's, if you're the home team, you automatically get 3 points. Then you deduct or add to it, depending on what you see over the momentum of it. I think the reason why they're giving Ole Miss the favorite by 1.5 points is the fact, one, they're at home. The fact, two, is their offense has done very well and their defense has played okay, enough that they won some football games. And then the flip side is that LSU has no running game. Their offense has struggled. Their defense is their core to that team right now. So they only have really one thing going for them, and that's their defense compared to Ole Miss has home field advantage, their offense. So they're giving them a nod. Now, things could change when you find out during the week, injuries. But I think it'll go off no worse than a 1.5.
Yeah. You think Caden Durham is going to play for LSU this weekend?
Yeah, that's a good question. Today's Monday, and they won't know more about the injuries and things of, LSU's keeping it close to the tilt, and they're not letting things leak out. My personal belief is no, he's not going to play. If he's playing against someone else, yes, but this is the SEC, and I know he wants to go out there and play, but if he can't give him 100%, I know, don't get the kid hurt either. If he's already injured, he's not 100%, don't play him. Sort of like Simmons. If Simmons is not 100%, I don't want to hear a quarterback hopping around. Oh, he's 80%. Don't give me an 80% quarterback. Don't give me an 80% running back, because if you want to try to run a football, you need – and they got enough running backs at LSU, trust me. But Durham's probably not – and I could be wrong, but from what I'm hearing and what people are saying, it's early in the week. And by Wednesday, if he's not practicing, I would say he's not going to play.
Okay. And like I said, this LSU offense has struggled this year. Their biggest wins, they went on the road against Clemson and won that game. They beat Florida. Both those wins kind of look very so-so.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I was getting ready to say, you saw me smirking there. They go to Clemson 1-3, and I think Florida's 1-3. I knew Florida was not very good. Florida's got quarterback problems. I hate when they talk about Lagway, another guy, Heisman. I don't know what they've been watching. I watched the kid all last year and this year. He's not a good thrower. He reminds me of Anthony Richardson. But that's Florida. That's another take. And then you look at, Clemson with their problems right now. So, yeah, LSU beat – look, when they played him at the time, you wasn't thinking that Clemson was going to be that bad. And, first game of the season, it could have gone either way. Clemson could have won that game. LSU could have been sitting there with the loss, but it didn't go that way. LSU played at home against Florida, and in all honesty, you watched the game. I thought Florida was dominating, except for the quarterback. He must have had money on the game because he threw 5 picks, 5 nice completions to LSU defensive backs. So LSU hasn't really beaten anybody. Florida and Clemson, but you got to look at the records too. People always say that, they ain't beat nobody, but they're 1-3 and they're 1-3. But that all goes out the window. I've been in this rival game, and I promise you, I would bet you, I didn't go to the Tulane game, but I guarantee you, Stephen, they would chant and go to hell LSU before that game was over with.
Yeah, and they absolutely will. Like the first time that you played in Tiger Stadium, a good Louisiana boy going home for your first time playing, you mentioned that they just threw whiskey bottles and all of that at you. This game, there was the stretch when Ole Miss was down and LSU was up. There was a little separation, but when both teams are good, this is a very, very special football game.
Oh, there's no doubt. The only problem was when they threw that bottle of whiskey at me, it was empty. If you're going to throw a bottle of whiskey, throw Jack Daniels bottle. Give me a full bottle so I can at least take it home. But these two teams don't care where the record is. It's sort of like State Ole Miss at the end of the year. Don't care. We were really bad at the end of the year against Mississippi State and ended up going 3-1, should have been 4-0. But you throw everything out the window. These two teams don't like it. Their players don't care about all that, rah-rah, humble. And so they'll go out and they'll fight and they'll do everything, but they know you're playing against a pretty good team on the other side of the football on both these sides. So it's a rival. It's a shame because you're in the SEC, and after this game's over with, you got to get ready for the next big game coming up in the SEC. So for right now, these two teams know it's at stake. The winner is probably going to advance, and the loser needs help to get into that playoff. It's not about playing for the SEC championship anymore. Who cares? You want to win a national championship or you want to make the playoffs. That's great to play in the SEC championship game. It's all about money anyhow. You could just play 14 teams and the winner, the best team in the conference, is the best team in the conference. But these teams are fighting for the playoff picture. So one loss is not going to hurt these guys. 2 losses, depending. But so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this. They're going to come to this game. They're going to give it all they got. They have to give it everything they have. This is like a playoff game. It starts now. It's a shame because we're not even in October yet. We're talking about playoffs begin now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really serious thing. All right, when we come back, we will talk to the legend, John Fourcade, about the rest of the games on the SEC slate this weekend. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Stick around. All right, first of all, I want to tell you about FanDuel. NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for a kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if that bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game just feel a little bit more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make a neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar that's packed on game days, or the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or even the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are all places that bring people together. In a neighborhood, when a business thrives, a whole neighborhood thrives. One of my personal favorites when I lived in Oxford was Phillips Grocery. They just had this rustic feel about them, and believe me, the burgers, amazing. Those local spots are what makes a neighborhood feel like home, and so many of them are run by Square. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, John, this is kind of a small week. There's only 8 SEC games this weekend, but it's pretty jam-packed with what you could have this weekend. We've got these lines. You got Notre Dame traveling to Arkansas. That's a game to where Arkansas can score some points, and Notre Dame just gave up 30 points to Purdue this weekend. You've got Ole Miss, LSU, Auburn, A&M's fantastic. Tennessee and Mississippi State is a sneaky game. And then there's Bama and Georgia and Kentucky, South Carolina. You can glue yourself to the TV this weekend and be absolutely fine just in the SEC.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The game that everybody wants to see, other than LSU, Ole Miss, is Alabama at Georgia. Man, that could be Alabama can go in there and win that game. I'm not sold on Georgia's quarterback. The other game that intrigues me, like you just made a comment earlier, was that even though off of a loss, they go to A&M. A&M's coming off that big win against Notre Dame. Who's going to be let down the most? Will it be A&M coming off that big win against Notre Dame on the road and come home and have a letdown? And Auburn's shown that he can go on the road and went to Oklahoma and probably should have had a chance to win that ball game. Tennessee should take care of Mississippi State. Mississippi State's playing with mirrors right now. Tennessee will walk all over them, I believe. And then the other game, Kentucky and South Carolina. I don't know right now what Kentucky's had. They're in issue problems there. South Carolina will be back at home, so you got to go with the Gamecocks at that one. And it's a light game and a light week of SEC caliber of plays. But you got about 4 games in there that's worth watching. And I'm just surprised, in all honesty. I know they're going to Alabama versus Georgia as the big nighttime game. But let me just say this. I think game day should be at LSU Ole Miss this weekend, and I think that game should have been in prime time because 2 undefeated teams, you don't have that Alabama and Georgia, but you got the history of Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, and listen, the SEC Nation and all that, they just did brands this weekend because if you just look at the games, the Ole Miss LSU game is the best game of the weekend.
There's no doubt.
It just is. I mean, it's going to probably go back and forth right around pick'em on the line. This LSU's the highest ranked SEC team. Ole Miss is higher ranked than Alabama. So the ranking spread and all of that is better for the Ole Miss LSU game. I talked about it on my podcast this morning that the networks just did brand. They didn't actually care of picking the best place because let's be real. If game day would have shown up in the Grove for Ole Miss and LSU, they would have drank 16 counties in North Mississippi out of liquor that more. It would be absolutely ridiculous.
Well, then you'd have the Georgia Bulldog people going crazy. Wait a second. Why aren't we having the host? Because we're undefeated. We're at home. We're playing the big Alabama Crimson Tide coming in here. But that's great when you look at it on paper. But let's look at it how these two teams match up, LSU and Ole Miss. They bring so much to the table. They're undefeated. LSU's ranked, 3rd in the country. They got an opportunity to do some damage here if they go into Oxford and take care of Ole Miss. But I don't see that happening. I think Ole Miss will be ready for them. I think Ole Miss takes care of this one. But the Georgia-Alabama game, it's great. I mean, we don't know who's scheduling the games at what time, and they got to pick somewhere to go. But I just can't believe they wouldn't have taken – if these two things – now, if they did this weeks in advance, I can understand that because you don't know what's going to happen if both teams, Ole Miss and LSU, could have came in off of a loss, which you knew they weren't. But look, I don't think Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers and the Ole Miss Rebels are really worried about who's coming there and drinking up all the towns and everything, because those guys are going to play football. If Lane goes in there and said, look, guys, the heck with us being on, game day, this, that, and the other, that ain't going to win the football game. That's just going to make the fans and everybody support it. And half of them will leave the damn game because they're so doggone drunk. They won't even know about it, because now it's the fact that let's get everybody the game and let's keep them there till the end. And it's going to be a really good football weekend, both for LSU, Ole Miss, and for the other parts of the SEC. But we're worried about the Rebels and the Tigers, and don't worry about who's getting game day and who's playing, because I think this is the best football game all weekend.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You know what is likely not the best football game all weekend? That's whoever the Saints are playing that particular weekend. That was a rough look, John, yesterday in Seattle.
Before the year began, they came out with, 5.5 wins for the New Orleans Saints. And all my crew that we do the show with, they're all like, man, I'm taking the under 5.5. Someone texted me yesterday, goes, are they going to lower that to 3.5? I think I can make more money if I bet 3.5 and under. They're not good. I mean, let's be honest. I know they got a new coach. They got problems. They don't have the players. They just don't have the players. And so you got to give this coach more an opportunity, because he's only been there, 3 games. But that recipe of those 3 games, they had a chance to win the first 2 games. Granted, 49ers played with half their team left in San Francisco, and they still in the game. But this game, it was over with before I don't even think I sat down yet. It was already over with. I was trying to get my meal ready, prepared, and boop, they down by 3 touchdowns before I even sat down.
Yeah, on top of everything else, Seattle just has this weird thing with New Orleans that they, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback, who's playing running backs. When those 2 jerseys line up, it just seems they can handle it. And I wasn't a fan of the all white, by the way.
Oh my God, I thought Georgia Tech was playing against Seattle.
Yeah.
Nah.
No,
now, if you'd had the gold helmets, I could have been fine with that. Keep it, but that was a little different. That was different. Yeah, I'm not. I like the jersey, but not white on white on white on white. Everything was all white: socks, pants, the jerseys, the helmet. I don't like that. I don't like all black. I don't like any all solid colors.
Yeah, monochromatic is a bad look to me.
Yeah, they should have just kept it the way they normally do it. But that's how these people are these days. These coaches staff, they let the players pick and choose the jerseys. That's amazing. You worry about what you're going to wear to go play football. I'm happy. At least I'm wearing a pair of pants and a pair of socks. That's why I loved about Ole Miss when I played. They had the blue jerseys, white numbers. They had the white jersey with red numbers, white jersey with blue numbers. They had the red jersey with the white number. We had a nice core of jerseys, the gray pants. I mean, that was just we were voted many times when I was there with the best looking uniforms. We had enough of them. Now we didn't have all the changes, but you got to change with times, and that's what the kids want. That's why they go to school. Look, why do you think some of them go to Oregon? They get 500 different doggone brands of jerseys and helmets and socks and shoes and pants. But, does it win national championships? No.
Hey, what was your favorite jersey when you were at Ole Miss?
I like you had to like the red. I like the red on top of the with the gray pants. The red or the blue. I mean, the white was nice, but definitely like the red.
Do you think the white jersey with the navy numbers should come back?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean that's a good one.
What I don't like, which we didn't have it, was the powder blue jerseys. I can do without them things. I know I got a hat on today. Powder blue.
You're wearing a powder hat.
But that's the first thing I can grab to put on my bald head. Either that or that. So, but I mean, it's great to have all these. It's good for the kids because they like that, and that's fine. But Stephen, I'm serious about this. They got to get rid of that goal thing on the basketball thing on the sideline, and I'll tell you why. If a kid goes up and dunks it and he comes down awkwardly and tears a knee or an ankle, who you blaming? You blame Lane Kiffin.
I think you were on the team, and like there's a college football follies that they used to do back in the day. And there was a play where Ole Miss stopped Herschel Walker in Oxford, and a player was jumping up and down and celebrating. I think he tore his knee up.
It could have been. Yeah, I've seen it happen. I have seen it. I really have seen someone stupid celebrating this and end up getting hurt. And it's happened in pro football. It's happened in college football. But celebrating, a high five, that's one thing. But having a basketball on the sideline going up I know the rim ain't but 6 feet, if that much. But it is stupid to have that stuff, because when you got to leave your feet, you put a basketball, and one guy I saw was going through his legs and trying to dunk a basketball it's just football season. Okay. We're not in the basketball season. And this is where the guy can get hurt. And if it happens, lo and behold, if your star player or one of your best players go down with while he was goofing off the sideline, dunking it, and came down awkwardly and blew out a knee.
All right. So what do you got going on this today, this weekend, all that?
You brought the Saints. I got a little speaking thing with the New Orleans Saints Club in the Gulf Coast. And then other than that, I'm going to get ready, pack up, and I'll be in Oxford Friday.
All right.
I won't be in the Grove with that 16 counties drinking up the liquor, but I'll be in the Grove and celebrate drinking my Coca-Cola.
All right. Be safe heading up there, John, and thank you very much for stopping by, man.
All right, Stephen. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, you too. All right, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe us, Google Ole Miss podcast. You'll see us. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it is absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. In another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. I should be on it this week. A local college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.